What's going on, everyone? This is Kevin here, coming at you with my review of the OnePlus 13R. So without further ado, let's get started. So this is the OnePlus 13R. Now this device is OnePlus's latest mid-range smartphone, and this device is officially available in the US for an MSRP of $599. Now certainly going from last year's 12R to the 13R brings us a lot of different improvements, and I'm looking forward to showing you all of those here in this video. And then finally, for full disclosure, I do want to mention that OnePlus was kind enough to send this phone out to me to cover here on the channel, and in addition to that, I was also part of OnePlus Offshore, which was a cool media trip they took us on in early December to spend some extra time with these phones while we were on a cruise ship. So that was certainly a very unique way for a smartphone brand to introduce their devices to the media. Now before getting too far into things here with the 13R, let's see what comes included in the box. Now you might have noticed this already, but we are getting a pretty thick box here with the 13R, and that is for a really good reason. That's because we're actually getting a USB wall adapter included, which pretty much at this point, there aren't too many flagship smartphone brands left that are still providing that. Now to make things even better, which I'll show you here in a second, this USB wall adapter supports up to 80 watt fast charging. So it's using OnePlus's SuperVOOC technology to make this possible. And then of course along with that we are getting the USB-C cable, but it's definitely great they're including that 80 watt wall adapter, and I will be talking a little bit more about charging later on in this video. But then also in the box we are getting this packet, and in the packet we're getting a SIM card removal tool, and then also some literature here. Now in a separate video, I will be comparing the OnePlus 13R to the regular OnePlus 13, but in general, the 13 is better than the 13R in every way, and this phone is missing various features such as wireless charging, which is something that you'd find in a regular flagship, but also something that you wouldn't necessarily expect to find with a mid-range smartphone like this one. Now with this device, we're getting a very large 6.78 inch display. In addition to that, this display is LTPO4 AMOLED, and we are getting a 120Hz refresh rate. So a super fast refresh rate here with the phone. We're also getting excellent viewing angles, and then the colors are super bold, vibrant, and crisp here, as you can see. We're getting a PPI 450, we're getting a 19.8 by 9 aspect ratio, and then finally we're getting a 91.2% screen to body ratio. So we are getting very small bezels all throughout here on the device, and then up top here we do have a hole punch for the front-facing camera, which is 16 megapixels. Now definitely stay tuned for later on in the video, as I'll be showing you a bunch of different photo and video samples from all the various cameras here on the device. And they're actually very good cameras, especially for a mid-ranger. Now internally here with the phone, we are getting 256 gigabytes of storage, and there is no microSD card expansion, so keep that in mind. Another nice thing too with this device is that we are getting an in-display fingerprint sensor, so that's really nice and fast and responsive, and in addition to that, we're also getting face unlock. But here's how things look on the camera app on the device. So we do have a 50 megapixel main camera, then from there we can go to the 8 megapixel ultra wide angle camera, then capture images at 112 degrees, and then finally there is a 2x telephoto camera, which is really surprising to find on a phone like this. So it is 2x telephoto, so it's not 5x or 3x or anything like that. But still, it's very impressive that we're even getting a telephoto camera with a mid-range smartphone like this one, and that's certainly a new feature that I know a lot of people are especially excited for with the 13R. Then from there, we can head over to portrait mode, and there are some different options related to that as far as how much blur you want and which camera you want to use to capture. You can also go over to the More tab, and there's a lot of other options here too. One of my favorites here is definitely high res, so if you want to take photos in the full 50 megapixels, you can enable that high res mode, and then from there, everything is going to be even crisper and clearer, but in return for that, your images will take up a lot more space, so certainly keep that in mind. And of course, we do have the front-facing camera here on the device. There is portrait mode in addition to the regular selfie mode. And then heading over to video mode, you can see here the phone does support 1080p video for the front-facing camera. And then for the rear camera, it does max out at 4K at 60 FPS. But now that we've talked about the cameras for a bit, let's take a look at the actual camera quality from the OnePlus 13R. Now I'm a big fan of the camera quality that we're getting here with the OnePlus 13R. You can see these photos right in front of you, so I'll let you be the judge, but in general, I'm very impressed with the quality. In many ways, the quality from the cameras here on the phone feel comparable to a flagship smartphone. Now, of course, they're not at a full flagship level, but at the same time, I think for the typical consumer out there, they'd be more than happy with the quality of images that you're getting here from the device. So colors look excellent. It also does a great job at kind of finding a nice balance between the more bright and shaded areas. And even when it comes to things like focusing, it does a great job with that too, really making things look super sharp and crisp. But let's now take a look at some video samples from the OnePlus 13R. What's going on, everyone? This is Kevin here, coming at you with a 1080p front-facing test video from the OnePlus 13R. Definitely curious to know what you think about the video and audio quality. And here's a 4K test video using the main rear camera on the OnePlus 13R. So this phone does support 4K video with the rear camera. And we have very fast autofocus in video mode, which is great. Now, unfortunately, with this device, even though there is an ultra-wide camera, you cannot use it to record video. And we are getting closer to sunset here, which is why some of the light is pretty intense, but you can see it still does a nice job here balancing out the shadows. Now here's with the 2x zoom camera. So it is nice, at least in the same video clip, you can switch between those two cameras. So it's not a huge telephoto zoom here, but you can see it is at least 2x. And then back to the main camera. So with this device, we're getting 12 gigabytes of RAM, along with the Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 processor. So the Gen 3 is literally last year's flagship processor, so I think that's even more impressive with this phone. So even though this isn't meant to be a flagship smartphone, we're literally getting last year's flagship processor here in this device. So when it comes to performance, you should really have some high expectations here. So considering that it does have that processor in it, that really makes this phone especially competitive in my opinion. Now I did run a benchmark test using Geekbench 6, and here are the scores that I got from that test. Now what I recommend doing is running this test on your current phone, and then compare your scores to these scores to see how the OnePlus 13R compares. But I have a feeling that when it comes to performance, most people out there will find this phone to be an upgrade compared to what they currently have. And then with the OnePlus 13R, we're getting a 6,000 mAh internal battery, along with 80 watt fast charging. So as it is, it's very hard to find a smartphone with a battery that large, but along with that, 80 watt fast charging is truly insane. That is really fast charging. And of course, that is possible due to the SuperVOOC charging technology in this device. So in many ways, I feel like the level of fast charging we're getting here with this phone definitely makes this phone stand out from a lot of other options out there. And then with the OnePlus 13R, we are getting NFC. We're also getting an IR blaster, which is pretty cool if you want to use that for your TV. And then we are getting stereo speakers here on the device. Now on the left side of the phone, there is a mute switch here, and I find that really cool that OnePlus is still offering this. So you can slide it all the way down to put the phone on ring. You can slide it into the middle for vibrate, and then all the way to the top for silent. Up top here, it's almost like a dynamic island. On the right side of the device, we have volume up, volume down, and the power button. Then up top here, we have the IR blaster, noise canceling microphone. And then on the bottom of the device, we have the SIM card slot, microphone, USB-C port for charging and data transfer, and then the speaker. And then on the back of the device, we have the camera module, flash, OnePlus logo, and that's pretty much it. Now this finish on the back of the device is a frosted finish, and it does pick up some fingerprints, but at the same time, nowhere near the level of fingerprints that it'd pick up if it were a glossy finish. So overall, I feel like this phone, while it doesn't look overly exciting, at the same time, I feel like they did do a good job with the limitations they were probably given that they did have to meet a certain price tag. But this concludes my review of the OnePlus 13R. Definitely stay tuned for other content on the channel about this phone in the future, but overall, I found this device to be very awesome, definitely a good deal if you're looking for a mid-range smartphone that's still packed full of a lot of premium features. And then finally, the fact that this phone does have the Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 really makes this phone especially special. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. This is Kevin here, this is the OnePlus 13R, and I will see you in the next one. Take care and have a great rest of your day.